Today, I want to discuss the many inspirations for the OA, and how they help fill in the gaps for the missing seasons of the show. The most common theory is that the OA herself is a Lucifer character, but perhaps telling the story of Lucifer from a perspective where Lucifer is the good guy, something a lot more common than you might think. While we only got 2 of the 5 planned seasons of the series, here's my theory for what seasons 3 through 5 would have been like. When the OA manages to jump to Dimension 2, it appears to be a split timeline from Dimension 1, but then what we saw of Dimension 3 revealed both of them to just be creative inventions of the OA's Dimension 3 counterpart, Britt Marling, the name of the actual star and co-creator of the OA. The title of the show indicates that the series is a loop and a palindrome, with the O representing the infinite loop that the OA is trapped in, and the A representing how the second half of the loop mirrors the first half. This is further confirmed by the violin theme that the OA plays in the show also being a palindrome, which means it's the same song when played in reverse. All of this indicates that Season 4 will be a dimension parallel to Dimension 2, at least thematically, and that Season 5 would return us to Dimension 1 to start the loop over. Season 1 had 2 stories, the one in the present and the one that OA tells to the Crestwood 5 leading up to the series premiere. Season 5 would thus be OA returning to the past in Dimension 1 to start the loop over again and to tell the true version of her story from Season 1. This is further evidenced by the house on Nob Hill in Season 2, at the end of which Kareem finds a T.S. Eliot quote saying, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." This was to indicate that we would go back to Dimension 1 at the end of the show and see what really happened there in OA's story. This would mean that instead of infinite universes like we were led to believe early on, there were only 4 dimensions. All of Season 1 had the Crestwood 5 struggling to believe OA's story, and the season ended with them essentially wanting to believe, but having been shown a lot of evidence that she made things up. The whole point of the show to me was to make us believe that the OA was lying in her story from Season 1, making up her friends and this evil man that held them prisoner, but accidentally bringing them to life. Season 2 would have tricked us into thinking the captives were real people by giving them their own bodies in higher dimensions that they could jump into. But when we circle back to Dimension 1 in Season 5, I think we would see that they are just delusions or alternate personalities of Prairie. This would include Hap, or at least his evil aspects, explaining why Elodie insists that Hap is the reason OA exists. Without him, she has no reason to believe in her other alternate personalities that he supposedly holds hostage, and had no one to live for during those 7 years. The earliest hint that the OA may be a Luciferian figure came in Episode 2 of Season 1, where childhood Prairie is being taught about snakes in her school for the blind. Here she holds the snake close and says, "Do not worry, I know you are a good snake." Many fans saw this as a reference to the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the snake who convinced Eve to eat the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and thus got her and Adam thrown out of the Garden of Eden. To many, this figure is not just evil, but became associated with the devil himself, who we also call Satan or Lucifer, despite both having their own unique histories before becoming associated with each other and the devil. Further evidence cited by fans that the OA is a Lucifer figure is in the title of the show itself, with the OA being an inverse of the AO, or the Alpha and Omega, a term Jesus used to describe himself in the New Testament. This idea fits more with Gnostic interpretations of Jesus, which appears to be a huge inspiration to the show, particularly with stories concerning the figure Sophia, which means wisdom. The story of Sophia varies from one account to the next, but with most Gnostic tales, they often teach that there is an original pure creator god of which Sophia is just one of the emanations from. Sophia wanted to be like this father, this creator god, and tried to create as well, accidentally creating the physical universe. With it, she creates the Demiurge, the god of our physical universe who constructs the world as we know it out of Sophia's creation, and even makes the humans, trapping Sophia's light within them to animate their existence. The Demiurge in the show is represented by Hap, who, as I described earlier, is just a creation of the OA in her head, and in many ways, that makes Hap the OA's shadow, her dark side, the parts of her she doesn't want to admit exists. In various Sophia tales, the original god or other higher emanations send in the Christ figure to help Sophia. This appears to be Kareem in the show, who Old Knight indicates to be sort of a cosmic brother to OA in episode 4 of season 2. This episode is called Saizagi, which is the name of the club OA performs at, but also a term used to describe cosmic twins, a term used specifically to describe Jesus' relationship to Sophia. The story of Sophia's fall into creation is more of a sympathetic approach to what we think of as a fall, such as Lucifer's rebellious fall from heaven. The dimensional structure from here is very similar to that of Jewish Kabbalah, in which there are 4 dimensions, with only one being physical, and the other 3 being sort of higher dimensions that we can travel our consciousness to, with what we do there affecting things in our dimension, or the real world, and things we do here affecting those higher dimensions as well. In this school of thought, there is sometimes considered to be a 5th dimension that precedes all 4 of these, being a sort of combination of them, or the source that they all flow from, inspiring the theme in the show of 4 becoming 5, a pattern seen in the small groups that pop up, in addition to background hints such as Prairie having 4 smaller dolls watched over by a 5th larger doll in her room. This dimensional structure is also explored in at least one story of Sophia, Pistis Sophia, in which there are sort of 3 higher planes to travel through before returning to the first one with a full understanding of who and what you are. The idea of 4 becoming 5 is something also explored in another inspiration for the OA, Madame Blavatsky's 2-part series, The Secret Doctrine. In this book, Madame Blavatsky compares a supposed ancient Tibetan document about the creation of the world and the history of man to all of the various mythologies in the world, while balancing out with the fun sci-fi ideas of her time, such as the existence of aliens and alternate realities. Instead of having a continual theme of 4 becoming 5, this 2-part series focuses more on the concept of 6 becoming 7, represented by the 6 days of the week being ended with a 7th day, a Sabbath, a rest that represents the entire week. In this book, we are being featured as 4-dimensional beings now mastering the 5th dimension before eventually getting to the 6th and 7th. It isn't just the subject of 4 becoming 5 that inspires the show, however, and Madame Blavatsky also largely describes existence in her work as being a loop and a palindrome, a repeating pattern from a cosmic scale down to our lives. The book even talks about there being up to 7 alternate Earths that exist in a chain along ours, with the other planets in our solar system also having 7 alternate versions that we cannot see either. The OA doesn't just take inspiration from the works of Madame Blavatsky, but sets up to do the same thing as her, using the intuition of the real-life Brit Marling to tell a story that explains all the different and crazy phenomena we experience in human existence, from the ancient myths to the speculative science of dimensions and alternate realities. This is the 4th in a 5-part series I was planning to do on the OA, its inspirations, and its lore. I have one more video planned about the movements and the metaphysics of the OA as a whole, but after that, I don't really have any more topics on my list. If there is a topic you'd like to see me cover here on the channel, please let me know in the comments down below. It can be about the OA, or even some of its inspirations that I can go more in depth on. See you guys next time.